What's up, you guys? Welcome to the May 25th edition of NBA 3-Ball presented by Established to Run. I'm your host, Mike Gallagher. Getting ready to preview the 3-game Tuesday slate, talk a little recap of some blowouts on Monday, and doing it in 10 minutes. Hit the thumbs up and subscribe, please. Going to start with the injury report for Tuesday. Really only 2 injuries to monitor here. One is on the injury report. It's Robert Williams, who's expected to play. We saw that turf toe thing bother him a little bit. Certainly was outstanding, 9 blocks. We know he was really good. They want to play him a bunch. They limited him in practice to basically just maximize how much they can use him in the game. So, probably looking at mid-20s minutes again. Does have that downside of an aggravation. He's going to probably be chased in DFS given how great he was, so keep an eye on that. And then the other big one, which is for real, is Maxi Kleber. He's out there with a questionable tag. Short turnaround, only a couple days, had that whole week to get healthy, certainly not healed all the way, and he was Kawhi's primary defender. Talk more about that, and that has a big trickle-down effect, because if you don't have Kleber, then you're asking Finney Smith to guard Kawhi maybe, and they have to kind of go with Tim Hardaway on Paul George, so there's a big trickle-down of how that would affect their rotations. Maybe they go bigger as well, because they certainly want Kleber out there on Kawhi. All right, let's get to the preview for Tuesday, and going to do it in the context of the game ones here, with just some quotes and stuff as usual. The Celtics rotation, pretty straightforward, nothing really tricky. We saw Tristan and Tyler handle the center minutes. Nesmith subbing in for Tatum. Jabari Parker was really the surprise, subbing in for Fournier, getting some overlap, and they really liked him. Brad Stevens talked about how he was great, so called it pretty darn good from Jabari Parker, and he has real size in this matchup, so he likes him in this matchup. We know Stevens will play the matchups, and you got to figure with the way it went, he's out there again, so possibly a straight punt. If you want to go that route, it's Jabari Parker, so be careful, but expect that rotation to be similar. Matchup-wise, tough shot fest. Both these teams only had 7 wide-open threes. Jason Tatum only had 1 wide-open attempt all game. Only 2 catch-and-shoot shots. They defended him really well. Kevin Durant was amazing on both ends of the court here. So not a great spot for Tatum. Kemba Walker had that foul trouble. Expect him to be better. Brad Stevens talked about running more actions. I interpreted that as more Kemba action to get him going offensively. So, kind of a sneaky play. Had Kyrie on him, so I think he's kind of a sneaky play if you wanted to go with him and go away from Tatum. Again, I think this game's a blowout, so keep in mind there. And then, as I said, Robert Williams, total mystery box. Maybe he's going to be, playing 28 minutes if things go great. They need him. He was key, and Steve Nash talked about that, how they basically walked into Robert Williams defending shots. But a lot of stats on the Celtics that were just bad. They were only 5 of 20 on drives, only 30 potential assists, 3 of 18 on mid-range shots. They were horrible in late clock situations, at just 3 of 16 from the field with 1 3-pointer. So the Nets defense was really the key here. Nets side, they tough shots, but they make them. They had 40 isolation possessions. Kevin Durant lead dog with the 39 usage rate. Certainly expect him to be continuing heavy dose of him. And then, as expected, we saw a lot of Jeff Green, a lot of Joe Harris. Those guys kind of anchored their unit. That was their closing lineup with the big 3. Expect to see a lot of that. Pretty similar game plan. I expect the Nets to be significantly better on the offensive side of this thing. So Durant, Kyrie also could crush Marcus Smart. We know he handled them in the regular season. I expect him to be pretty good in what should be a pretty similar rotation. Lakers Suns here. Just some more detail on what happened. Jumpers, the Lakers were bad. 37 effective field goal percentage on 24 jumpers. That's really, really bad. Only had 16 points off drives. With near a LeBron-led team, that's a joke. Their PNR offense was just straight putrid. 0.57 points per possession on 39 drives in their last 2 games. Reference point, the Wolves were last at 0.8. So really, really down. The Suns shot the ball pretty well. And they were assisted on 90% of their makes, so just good team offense, just great team win from them. Specifically matchup stuff. AD, man, too much jump shooting, and interesting stat I dug up. He was 32.3 effective field goal percentage on his jumpers since returning from injury. Only had 2 of 10 on his jumpers in game 1. To put that 32.3 in reference, pre-break he was 46, and then last year in the bubble, 54 effective field goal percentage. So you're talking over 20 effective field goal percentage points. So that's concerning. He is listed with that shoulder injury, should be fine, but if they're going to make him a jump shooter, that's really bad. Frank Vogel talked about how they have to use him differently. They're expecting him to be heavily covered, so that may mean more him at the 5. That may mean more him roll man. That may mean him more as a high post passer. A lot of ways they can kind of keep it going, but they shut him down. So on top of the poor shooting, it's tough to sell him as a pick here. And then LeBron, as I mentioned, not a high usage. It was bottom 10 usage for him on the season. No points on drives. 0. 13 drives, 0-2 shooting on those drives. Unbelievable. Unacceptable as well. 14 potential assists is pretty good. 10 jumpers is too many, so they really took LeBron out of his element. We know that LeBron has that whole, game one, feel things out, so expect it to happen. Certainly we'll see some AD at the 5 to cut into Drummond. You can't play Montrezl Harrell, and Alex Caruso played the last 14 minutes of this game. Should see a pretty good amount of him here too. Yeah, Devin Booker, marvelous. Really did everything at all levels, at the rim, mid-range, threes, got to the line a little bit, just awesome. And it needs to be great. A lot of guys have tough matchups, but DeAndre Ayton was unbelievable. And fun stat, all 11 of his shots were within 3 feet. Only one of them was outside of 1 foot. It was all right there at the rim. And another cool stat, his shots only had, he used the dribble just once on them. So they really did a good job of making him very simple in his role. And I think he'll be pretty good. I doubted him the first game, and I was dead wrong. So expect him to come out banging. We know Mikal Bridges is going to play a lot. Should mention, too, Devin Booker rested 8 seconds in the second half because of that Cameron Payne ejection. They basically pulled him right back out for that. So we know Chris Paul's injured, right? We'll see how that goes. Managed in practice. Didn't do a lot in practice either. So we saw him really shoot it light. Only had a 10.9 usage rate on Sunday. That's his second lowest of the year, with the lowest usage rate actually coming against this Lakers team on March 2nd. So expecting not a lot from CP3 here. Booker, Ayton should carry the load. We know Mikal Bridges won't shoot it a bunch, but the minutes plays there, 41. We know he's going to guard LeBron a bunch. Mavs Clippers getting the NBA TV love there. That is a surprise with Clippers, but of course they're not going to put LeBron on NBA TV. But the big quote to me on Monday was Ty Lue basically saying okay, we could live and die by Luka and limiting the role players, which is I don't know about that. So that makes me really excited to play Luka, who again they didn't double team him. Obviously, a different coach with Doc Rivers, but I expect Luka to have another really impactful game here if that's how they're going to approach it. They didn't really have a lot of guys lock him down, and you got such good favorable switches on him too. So style of play as expected. Sub 10% transition possessions from these guys. 87.5 pace. It's going to be a grinded out game. The under's always going to look. I will never bet the over for the way these two teams just like to play so slow. So something to keep in mind. I don't like to bet over unders generally either. But and we know Dorian Finney-Smith's going to be huge. Talked about Cleveland in the open. If he's limited, that changes things. I think if Cleveland's limited, I think the Clippers have an excellent chance to bounce back. Kristaps Porzingis also was really just a jump shooter. Only had 2 shots in the paint. Really, I mentioned in my matchups column, we turned him into Anthony Tolliver on offense, and he had 38% of his shots in the paint in last year's playoffs. So I want to see some changes there. We know Dorian Finney-Smith's going to play a ton, whether he has to guard Kawhi or PG, probably a little bit of both. But yeah, also Kawhi didn't have his jumper going. 5 of 16 on jumpers, made all of his dunks and layups. So certainly, I think Kawhi is going to have a huge game today. One of my picks for guys to lean on for DFS. DFS, speaking of which, he'll be on PG. PG also, off-ball game was taken away. Only 1 of 3 on catch and shoot shots for him. So, not a great spot for George. I'm a big Dorian Finney-Smith fan. Also, they're expecting to play Marcus Morris at the 5 more. Ty Lue said they wanted to play him more in that spot as well. So, I'm pumped for this game. I think the Clippers got a pretty nice edge here. To the basketball action, and just beat down City in Milwaukee, 132-198. This was coming. I mentioned it in matchups and in the pod with Drew and other content that the shot profile advantage in Game 1 was so heavily favored to the Bucks for how they've just defended everything. Only 6 makes at the rim in Game 1 for the Heat at the rim. So that was a story. It was not just missed shots. It was contested, difficult shots, and the Bucks just showed their talent in this game. Just their first unit just total destruction. Drew Holiday on point, 15 assists. They made their threes. If you want to believe in law of averages, you could certainly make a case for this game. But really, everyone in the first unit I thought played pretty well. Didn't have to extend guys very many minutes here with this game getting out of hand. And yeah, the Bucks, I picked him in 5. Feeling pretty good about that. We know Miami, who's been kind of struggling coaching wise. Like, why is Duncan Robinson on Middleton so much? That's been a big question for me. And then Giannis taking away Jimmy Butler has been huge. I mean, Giannis's defense has made a major impact in the series. Yeah, Miami, they were better at the rim this time, 17-24 to double their output there. But besides that, just nothing. 3 of 14 on mid-range shots, 5 of 16 on non-restricted paint twos. That's bad. Then we had 1 of 7 from the corners. They took those away. Didn't shoot it well from 3. It was just everything. And Milwaukee's length is why. They're just better. This is not the same team as last year. And Spoelstra has really seen, the Ariza drop-off show up in a big way here. And then Duncan Robinson, all these guys just are getting killed here. So with Bam, and I mentioned in matchups today, like Bam and Jimmy have really tough matchups. So these role players, Robinson, Dragic, and those other dudes, have to step up. Not happening. Nuggets get the must-win game here. Obviously, the MVP drops 38. Had a little bit of foul trouble, too. Still comes through in 31 minutes. I mean, he's good. It was just mostly defended pretty well, but he's good. He's the MVP. Big adjustments after Dame went straight nuclear in the second quarter. We saw Shaq Harrison get dusted off a little bit, and then the big switch was putting Aaron Gordon on Dame to limit him and put some length on him. And Malone talked about that before Game 1, saying that he was considering doing that, and he did. And he didn't really do it in Game 1, so great adjustment there. Probably expect more of that going forward. And Gordon, had a season high as a Denver Nugget in the first game with usage rate, and still comes up pretty solid with 13 and 6 for him to be a big part of this series. And then the hero, unsung hero, who's probably going to be sung a little bit, is Monte Morris. 30 minutes. I'm a big Monte guy. I love his nickname, Count of Monte Assistio. It's such a good one. But great control of the offense, great pace, great shot selection. He's really good. Him being healthy, him being able to play 30 minutes. I don't know if it's going to swing the series. I think the Blazers still have such a big talent gap compared to the Nuggets with all the guards throwing out there. But if Monte Morris could play consistently 30 minutes, that's going to be really helpful, which obviously cut into Austin Rivers here. And Blazers dropped this one. My God, Dame. Just absurd shooting. Logo lowered, full on go here. Drops 42. 10 assists again. He's been running hot with assists. Was lucky in the last game. Only 2 of his potential assists didn't get converted in the last game, but he's the fill of the offense. He was Game 1's leader for touch time in each game, so expecting him to be a big part. But again, they're going to adjust their defense to limit him more. So TJ McCollum certainly could play a little bit better. Nurkic fouling out was a bit of an issue. They were making a little bit of a run in the fourth quarter, but yeah, that kind of hurt him, which did help Robert Covington's playing time a little bit. Didn't do really anything offensively besides a switch three-pointer. Norman Powell was in some foul trouble. That cut him down. We saw Derrick Jones Jr. get in the mix here. They needed his defense to limit the Nuggets, but we've got a series here. 1-1, pretty pumped. This is going to be a deep series. Really excited to see how this shakes out. So that's it for today. I just want to shout out Establish the Run, promo code PLAYOFFS, man. Get in on this deal. It's a really good deal. We have so much content. I love it. I probably wrote my matchups today. It's probably one of my favorite ones I've ever written. So, check it out. Catch you guys later.